Here we go. How smooth. There we go. And welcome to another exciting episode of Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and I am joined today by an amazing, truly remarkable guest. And I could not begin to describe all the things that she is into and does, so I will hand that baton off to her and introduce you all to the one, the only, the amazing, talented Susan Long.
Hi, I'm Susan Long. I'm a retired police officer and detective. For the last 15 years, I've been pursuing all my healing gifts that I knew I had since I was a child and a police officer. So I've had my own business. I do cranialsacral fascial therapy. I'm a Holyfire and a Osui Reiki Master teacher. I do quantum trance regressions. I'm a starseed. I remember fleeing Lyra and ending up here when the Draconians attacked our 12th Stargate. Um, I also remember I have a daughter, Rachel, that looks like a Thundercat that's in the programs that she used to fly with me in my dragon ship. Don't know where she is now. I'm also what my great grandmom told me is she would call it Fae, means she's Irish, and it means you have the gifts. And she told me I was Fae like her, and my mother doesn't have it, so she was terrified of it. Um, and she told me I was going to have two sons, and one would be more Fae than me. And when we say Fae, I think that's more of an American thing. Like people in the north of Ireland, when I was there for 6 months, know what that means, but some of them are also scared of that, and that's the Tuatha de Danaan, the tribe of, in English, it's the tribe of Danu. Um, it's the old Anunnaki story where they landed on the mountaintop, the shining ones. They also did that in Ireland too. Your Greek and your Roman gods that supposedly came down. So I would be known as one of the shining ones, and I glow sometimes. And when I started glowing in video back in, what was that, 2019, I didn't know why, so I started researching, and that's where I found the Tuatha de Danaan were the shining ones. As it makes sense, I have all the gifts. I remember having a from a past life. Um, One of my SSP friends, Veronica Bartolini, was there, and I remember we had these pots, and that's part of the cauldrons the tour brought with them, and I had three of them, and I was making unending food like Jesus, and I had this. It kind of looked peasant, like a peasant dress. It kind of looked like white and a colorful skirt, and then when I came across some pictures and I sent it to Veronica. I was like, "Oh my God, this is this is Scythian and, Merovingian traditional wear. This is what we were wearing. I couldn't figure out what culture it belonged to. So, and I remember the other weapons because I could make weapons of fire with manifestation. Yeah, this is from past life stuff. And with that, the Tuatha de Danaan were known for being another reason we were taken was because we can remote view with bilocation. So I'll show up as a ghost. And if I'm thinking about just have to be careful because I don't want to violate anyone's privacy because it's been done to me and I don't like it. Because I couldn't get the heck out of my house. And what else? I've been a contactee since I was 2. I had these they kind of look like T-Rex coming in. Then I had the Men in Black when I was 6, when my parents moved to Delaware. I remember that, and I was the only one they would walk out. I was sleepwalking from probably age 9 to 12, and I think they would sleepwalk me out of the house. And I remember getting in an MLK type car, and they would take me to wherever, Montauk, wherever, Mission. My friend Douglas Robertson thinks Jean Grey's character is based on me. When I did the Holyfire Reiki activation, I kind of wondered about that because my hands would get so hot. I was like, this is part of my psionic abilities because I remember being able to make people turn against each other and basically kind of boil your brains. And they had to bring helmets to come and get us if they wanted to capture us in the programs, or me specifically. I think they shut off a lot of our DNA here. I've had spirit encounters since I was a kid. When I was 9, that's when I realized other people didn't see like me, because I remember my mom's best friend had cancer and she had leukemia, and I hadn't seen her for 6 months, and she was like my second mom. My mom was a housewife, and so was her best friend. And then her best friend came and turned my nightstand light on, sat next to me in bed, and was talking to me about how she wouldn't be there for certain life events. And I'm 9, and I'm thinking, no, you're right here, you're healthy, you have all your hair and everything. And she tucked me and kissed me and turned my light off and left. And I was so happy the next morning. I thought she was out of the hospital and that she was healed. And I'm running down the stairs, mom, Patsy came and visited me last night. And she was at the sink with her back to me, looking out the window, smoking a cigarette. And she turned around and yelled at me, how did you know she died last night? So there began the trauma of me being able to see things other people couldn't see, and I had to keep it to myself because I thought I made my mom cry because of what I told her. And there I was 9, and I guess someone told my great grandmother, and she lived far away, and I didn't get a confirmation on that till I was 16. I was taken to see her, but I didn't get to see her for very long. And then she died the next week, so I have a lot of questions for her. But I did do regression and went back to a partial memory I had on a beach in the northeast coast of Ireland. And I took this little boy that was with me that would come across the waterway when the tide was down. He would come visit me, and I told him not to touch this man of war jellyfish that was on the beach. And of course, per usual, he wouldn't listen, and he touched it, and it stung really bad. And from my memory, all I had was I was going to take him to the healer, and that was the end. When I did a regression, the healer was my great grandmom, and she told me she'd been waiting for me, and she's really happy that I went back to my healer herbalist roots, because I was always kind of the hippie woo woo kid anyway, and I had to kind of hide all that stuff when I was in law enforcement, and there was a couple other police officers that had the gifts. And they knew, I mean, we would talk about stuff because some people, like my friend, that diner isn't even there anymore. But after 4 to 12 shift, I went to see her because she worked in a different district, and we would go meet and have, lunch, dinner, whatever it was, at 1 o'clock in the morning. And we were sitting in this diner, and it was funny because she had the gift like me, and she was also had an Irish descendant, and this guy comes walking in. We'd never seen him before, and we're looking at him, and you just feel like you're slimed, like Ghostbusters. We both turn to each other, and I said, "He's killed somebody," and she said, we both said the same thing to each other. And we were, in street clothes, so they didn't know we were cops. And yeah, I don't. Where did you want to go with this? Because I got pictures of fairies and ships and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I've been the paranormal's been interested in me since I was a little kid.
Well, before we get to the photos, there is one thing that's interesting in your bio that I'm curious about. And also, I want to say thank you for your service. I truly appreciate all that you did to keep people safe.
Thank you.
So, in your bio, you mention angels and jinn. Jinn is something I rarely hear, especially this side of the pond, as the British say. So, what brought up the jinn, and what was that like?
Well, when I moved here a couple of years ago, it seemed like I'm looking at when it that like Eastern stars were coming to me, and this was a former Eastern star, and they mess with black magic, and she had cancer, and when I was working on her, I'll see all different things, and I people come to me because I'm a medical medium too, and I'll see and feel things in their body that the doctor will, ignore, and I'm like, no, I know what this is. And anyways, when I was working on her, and when I was at something with cancer, I see this thing pop up in the room, and it was weird because it was 2D instead of 3D. So it was a jinn or a demon, and it was attached to her, and it was parasiting off of her with the cancer. It was feeding off of her. And I asked him what his name was, and he acted like he actually got perturbed with me because he kind of looked like a Gumby cutout. He was, the head, no facial features. It was just 2D, and all he had was the only features were like these white laser pointers for eyes. And when I asked him his name, he made his eyes red laser pointers, and I smack talked him telepathically, and told him if he wanted to scare me, he better try harder, mother effer. And and I asked him what he was doing there, and because he turned sideways, like, because he was like this 2D, and then he turned sideways, so I could only see like a quarter inch of him, and then he turned again, and he told me he was just observing, and I told him he wasn't welcome, and he literally acted like a petulant child and like stomped out of the room. And that was really weird. But anyway, she said she felt a lot better, and she's still with us, so I guess her cancer is gone. I'm not saying I took it away, but she was under treatment too. But I have seen people's cancer in them, and I was just doing massage with that client, and I was like, I see these 3 pieces of sand in your left breast, and it's right here. And I said, did you have a mammogram? Because it's feeling hot to me. And Spirit's saying, hey, this is going on here. Tell her about it. And I told her, and she said she had a mammogram that year. So, and then I second guessed myself. And like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. No, she had 3 spots of cancer in her breast, and it was very rapidly progressing cancer. I forget which kind it was in her breast, and she ended up having a double mastectomy. And I was like, I don't know. Every time I second guess myself, I'm always right with the first guess, so I just touch my second guess, and yeah, there are a lot of stuff in between feeding off of us, and I've noticed a lot of these things. They look like leeches, but they're bigger. And like people with migraines, they usually have like 3 teeth, and they'll be hanging here on the side of their head or wherever they're having an issue. And the thing can be as long as my forearm hanging off, and I'll have to go in there and pull them out and then heal the area. And a lot more black goo. Because I worked on a girl remotely that was in South America, and her whole uterus was full of black goo. Because I tried scooping it out, and there was just so much that I just went in and burned everything out. So, she had black magic on her, and she thinks she was in some breeding programs too, which is a very distinct possibility with all she had going on. And also those black goo things will be around like elbows. It'll be like an X that's wrapped around, and I'll have to go in and pull it off. And I've started using a wand so I don't get emotionally attached to the thing. Because some of those things, they literally sting me. Like I can't see them in 3D, but since I can see through layers, and a lot of times I'll just put on 528 frequency. Usually it just gets me there in the meditative state, and then I can see, but I don't even need that most of the time. But you can see, I'll see through the layers, and I'll just try to see the room like I can see my table and everything, and just go through the different etheric layers, and these things are attached to people. And when I try to take some of that black goo type stuff off, it'll sting me and wrap around my arm, the tails, and it's, like a jellyfish. And more of those jellyfish things, and they have real long tentacles that could go down to your root chakra that I got to pull out of people. I had a couple of those recently.
So I'm curious, is this black goo the same that they were talking about? That's the AI black goo that they found off of South America that the program's using? Or is this a different black goo?
It might be the same black goo from the War of the Falkland Islands. That's what they were fighting over, was the black goo. I don't know if they're infected, because it's like etheric infection, because you can't see it in 3D, but it's affecting them in 3D, and I got to pull it off, and they'll feel immensely better because they don't have something parasiting their life force energy, or feeding off of them and literally giving them horrible migraines. For cancer, it can get that bad.
And I'm also curious with how you're like, you see a jinn and you're just like smacking him.
No, it's smack
putting him in his place, kind of, so to speak. I wonder if that's a trade side effect of being in the programs, that we don't fear that, or
it might be. It might be that I have an Irish mother. So yeah, but and and how dare, and me being a police officer, I'm also still got the warrior, and then I got the healer, and it's like, how dare you touch my person, get the F off. And I get mad, and I'll I'm not trying to get crazy on here, but yeah, I get like that, because I am a redhead and I'm Irish.
And more power to you. I mean, if it works, Why hold it back?
Well, they feed on fear, so you got to be bold and smack talk them back, and just, you know.
I know. I've had a couple encounters with some really dark things. I don't think demonic or anything, but I just stood my ground and was like, and they were afraid of me, and so I was like, yeah. That's why I wonder if it's a side effect of our programming, because we're programmed not to fear, and so it's like, it makes you wonder, is that a side effect, or is it just because we're more aware that we're more in tune and we know how to handle ourselves?
I just think that I'm more powerful than they are, because if I don't show fear, then they can't harm me. So, that's what they want you to be, is afraid, so they can stay there and feed.
Yeah. So, when did you first become aware that you were in the programs and had all these gifts? How did that develop?
Um, well, I was in third grade and playing telepathic games with two or three other friends, and out in the playground, because yeah, I was that nerdy girl. And I'm like, think of a number, and like one other girl, my friend Tony, could hear me, and I remember, well, then we didn't have cell phones or anything, because this is, the 70s. And I'm sitting in the bathtub taking my bath before I go to bed, and all of a sudden everything goes black. And I'm standing in the bowels of the Spectrum Entertainment Complex, and it's not even there anymore. They have the Wells Fargo Center there now. And in the bowels of that place, it was really scary because there was fluorescent light. It smelled like urine. She was 9 years old and with her teenage sister, and she got lost down there. And she was crying for help. And I could see her, but it was like I was on a movie set, and yeah, I can see all around them, and I'm observing them. And sometimes I'm looking out of their eyes, so I could find lost people. I was a police officer. I didn't tell people that's how it is. And it worked there because I grew up there, but now I'm in a different state, so it's far from. I saw a dead boy out here, but I don't know where he was, because I knew they would find him when the combines came through, and they did, but there wasn't much I could do about it. It's easier if you know the lay of the land to see some things when you're remote viewing.
That's true, because if you're remote viewing, say something in Montana, and you live in Arizona, never been to Montana, you're like, yeah, there's mountains. Well, there's mountains everywhere. How
Yeah,
do you pinpoint down? We don't think about that, but yeah, you have to be able to know where these landmarks are.
but for me to describe it, because it's easy to connect to a person, because like back in 2015, when I used to trying to sleep and I'm looking at the ceiling, I used to have to I couldn't sleep in the total dark because I could see the matrix, like where all the messages were going, and I had to leave my I know it sounds silly because I'm not a little kid. I had to leave my closet light on because it was too disturbing. And that year, I also had a white Draco at the foot of my bed, and there was another ET in my closet. Something was stuck in the hangers because they were jingling around, and I was just like, I'm not ready for this.
I'm just picturing a being that can travel through time and space gets stuck in the hangars.
Yeah, and I could hear the hangers jingling, and there is this white, like juvenile reptilian. He didn't have his wings at the foot of my bed, and I'm like, great. So I'm a dragon too. All right, that goes with Faye. And then at the same time, there's also like this black ribbon coming out of my bathroom and my bedroom. And I'm looking at, I'm laying in bed like, what the hell? There's a white Draco. There's something in my closet. Now there's this black ribbon floating in midair. It was just unwinding itself. And I'm sitting there and I'm like pushing Reiki hands. I'm like, back? I was pushing it back into the bathroom. I'm like, I don't know what the heck you are. But I don't feel like dealing with you right now.
Yeah.
Black ribbon, smoky thing. But
It's like,
yeah,
wait
I've
your
already
turn.
got these two other things I'm dealing with, and yeah, I slept for 6 months with my bathroom light on. After that,
No, I mean, to be honest, I go to sleep with three, like, they're supposed to be Christmas light up trees that are on timers. And I'll have them on, and I try it, and won't go to sleep unless they're on. If I can see them and they may turn off before I actually go to sleep, I'll sleep better. And if the batteries are dead and they never come on, I will have a really bad night's sleep. So yeah, I get that needing the light to fall
yeah,
asleep. And it's interesting how you say you saw the messages going through. When I was growing up, I would see a grid.
it
Like,
was kind of like that, but there's like all these white lines, like a spider web, were on the ceiling, and it was like everybody's soul cords to everybody else in the matrix. Like that's what it looked like to me, and you could see like I could see like little blue lights of messages going back and forth, and that's kind of what telepathy is like to me. Because I'll think the thought in my head, and I know they can hear me, and like ETs will telepath. Um, like some demons and jinn, they talk, and people when their spirits will talk to me, but ETs are usually it's all picture messages, you know,
right.
of
And
of a knowing.
it's interesting too to me how different are just, we're probably looking at the same thing, but I was told when I was talking to someone about it, and they go, oh, well, with all the indigo children and crystalline children, they talk on this level, and you're witnessing their communication network. So I was like, oh, so it's like kind of like, I forget what it was called, but like you were mentioning Jean Grey, when they put the helmet on and they could see where all the mutants were in the world, it was kind of like that was my world. It's like I could
Oh,
see
oh.
where different like gifted people were, and then it was like it got quiet. So I was like, okay,
That makes sense, and that gave me chills. And I was like, yeah, I can see the other people that can telepath too, that can use this because you can use those same links to remote view, and you got to make sure you cut them because I don't like to like by accident one time. I don't even know how I got there, but I was on a ship and there was two beings in front of me, and the one turns around and it's this tall reptilian. I was like, oh shit, oops, I'm out. You didn't
yeah,
see me.
yeah,
And I was like, I was just daydreaming. I didn't mean to pop into your ship. Um, but it's easier once you learn how to. You don't really need coordinates. You just have to tap into their energy. Maybe it's easier if you're a Reiki master, if you or you've had contact since you're little. Because I've got ghosts, I got ETs, fairies in my house. And this is my office in here. Um, but they're only allowed to come in this office when I have clients because I don't like to be woken up. When I first moved into this house, there was three spirits in here, and one would walk the floors on the first floor at 3 a.m. and wake me up, and it sounded like a home invasion. Heavy boots on the floor in the family room downstairs. And as soon as I get down to the landing and I'm peeking around the newel post, it would stop. So I had to clear my house. Um, there was two ladies in here. I think they were two maids that used to live here because they were in the back bedroom and I could hear them. But it was always where you could tell they were having. It was two ladies having a conversation. in lowered voices, but it was never loud enough so I could hear what they said. But I have life-size fairies in the house. Then I have the little blue ones out in the garden. And when I came back from Journey to the Truth last year, I was all sad because I hadn't seen any of my East Coast friends since before COVID. And I got to spend a week with them. And I was thinking, wow, I'm not going to get to see them till next year. And I was sitting on my porch swing, and my guide says, "Get up and take a picture of the garden." And there's the fairies. It's like, "See, we're with you."
Oh, that's so nice. And we're about to get to the photos, I promise. But I have one quick question that I think Susan is the perfect person to answer. And that is because I have connection to dragons as well. And someone goes, "Well, dragons are reptilians." And I was like, "Oh, I do not want a connection to reptilian."
They are, but they're benevolent reptilians. So,
Okay.
I mean, there's good reptilians and bad reptilians because there's ones that eat us and there's ones that are friendly. So, um, I like to think of myself as a benevolent dragon.
That's what I want too. I don't want to be like sitting here aligned with the bad side and being like, "Uh oh,"
Yeah,
when
because
they come to clean house. I don't want to be on the wrong side.
I have the negative blood type too. So it's I don't know. I think it's all what you make it. Because I remember some old guy tried to tell me, "Oh, if you're one of the shining ones, you're one of the fallen angels." And I said, "Well, everyone has free will. You're supposed to use your gifts for good, not for ill will." And I think you would be, well, actually, no, that you will be punished in this realm for using your for ill will, unless it's in self defense. And there's some, or in defense of, you know, somebody you need to protect.
Yeah. And that brings up an interesting question. The fallen angels, do people like religion have it right and they're the Nephilim? Or are they something totally different and religion has got it wrong?
I think there's star people. If we were really fallen angels, because I've wondered this myself. I'm like, if I'm one of the fallen ones, I think I'm a benevolent one that was like, you know, I don't feel like being involved in your chaos and drama. I got work to do. And they were like, "Screw you too," and threw me down here, maybe. But I also feel like when I see the, pictures of the redheaded giants in stasis, that old Russian photo, it resonates with me. And I think I'm related to them too, somehow.
I agree. And I also wondered with the wars in heaven, as they call it, if the fallen ones were the ones that picked the wrong side, so to speak, and were, we say stuck in hell, and it's like, well, if you look out the window, I think I could agree with that statement. We're living through that right now, but I often wondered, who really were the fallen? Were they the losers of the war, or like you're saying, we chose to follow a mission instead of getting caught up in everything else and left to do what we needed to do. So in which case, we're not bad.
I mean, I had dreams, and like one of my other friends from the program, Veronica, we were in a court and we got called there, and there was one ET, and I've seen a picture of, like, she had a crab face. Like when she had to eat, it would open up like this, and it was really unattractive. And then there was a tall white that looked like Lurch there with us, and she was waiting for me at the prosecutor's table. Basically, is where I would always sit, and I had to testify about what happened in the legal system here when I was a family services detective, about the children and how they treated the children. And I told them how I was upset that a child molester, they would generally in Delaware keep them in prison till the victim turns 18 or 21, depends on the judge. Um, but a lot of times they would only get 5 years, and somebody who's in possession of crack cocaine would get 15. And that really angered me, the way the legal system would let predators prey on people, but drugs are bad, you know. Um, yeah, and I told them what I felt about that, that I thought it was extremely foobar. And then I remember one of the ETs that was with us, I think it was the Lurch guy. He said he was going, because we were in a court, but he said he was going to go press his face against one of the glass windows, so when one of the humans came, they would see this impression of his face and it would scare them. And he did it as a prank. And I don't know, they were kind of funny. Those ETs were pranksters.
I
But
imagine they do have a lot of fun because we live in such a world that they're like, oh, we could have so much fun with these people.
because literally some of them you can't see because they're in a different vibration and they can walk right past you. But then I've seen people out here in Iowa, you got literal ETs, tall whites walking around amongst the population, and people don't see them. And I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm standing in line at Walgreens and there's this really tall looking lady, and she had that weird look like Michael Hill's Anunnaki lady. And I'm looking at her, and she was unusually tall, like 6'3" or something crazy. And as soon as she got out the double doors, and I'm still standing in line, I said in my head, "I see you." And she turned around, was looking through the glass. And I'm like, "Yes, I can see you."
Talking about those electronic doors, have you have you ever had the occasion where you walk up and it's like they don't open? And you're like, I know I'm here, I know I'm existing, but why aren't these doors recognizing me? And I'll be like, okay, hold on. I'll step back and in my mind go, okay, let me totally phase back, and then they open.
Well, did you like in the 90s and the early 2000s when they started coming out with maybe it's early 2000s self checkout? I used to make self checkout go wonky every single time. I can't wear a watch unless it was like an Iron Man watch. It had to be rubber insulated. I can't wear a regular watch. I kill it because of my energy.
I'm the same way.
My mom does the same thing. She's a no negative, and she's obviously has Draco blood in her because she's got the bunions, and you can actually you can tell who's got the O negative and draconian bloodline in them just by looking at their feet.
I don't know. I'm not sure what I am, but I know someone told me I'm a mix. But yeah, I've had those kind of moments where I'm like, am I really here because things are not responding to me like they should be, like everybody else? Well, if you're ready, we can switch over and for Gaia Love One, as she's asked in the beginning, to see the photos. If you're ready, we can switch to that.
We can do that if you want.
Let me see if I still have it up. Yes, I do. Here we go.
Oh, okay. This was remember when I was talking about coming back from Journey to the Truth. Um, well, this is a fixer-upper I bought, this old Victorian, so don't mind my lack of paint. But I was sitting on my porch swing, feeling melancholy because I'm not going to see any of my disclosure friends for a year. And my guide said in my ear, "Get up and take a picture." And I didn't see the fairies in the picture. And so I sat down and I looked at the picture I took because I didn't notice it through the camera. And
It looks like there's one here, here. I'm not sure if that's a
that
decoration.
the blue thing is the fairies. There's like
Okay.
5 of them there. And I sent you another picture where it's blown up. And that one with the yellow fairy was Kevin Estrella had somebody blow up the main fairy, and he said that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't come up with
Yeah, these are little. Here we go.
that one. Yeah, that one right there. When I did his radio show, he said that's what the main fairy looked like when they blew it up.
It's interesting because I can see the body, but the wings, they don't look like I would expect them to look like. They're more square,
And
like a plane, than I would expect the wing.
And then there's like human-sized fairies that are in my house that tell me about things. Well, they do. They protect me, and they'll disable vehicles and stuff of people that are bothering me. Yeah, if they pull up front.
Oh no, I believe you. I had in my house a corner that I would call Times Square because there was always entities or beings or spirits, you name it, they were crossing through, and I was like Grand Central Station.
You don't have 2 mirrors facing each other there, do you? Because that
I
would be
didn't.
portal.
I didn't actually, but I think energy wise, there probably were portals there.
Because I have to be careful because I have this huge leaded glass mirror on a door in my front hall. And if I have it open and it faces my front door, which is also leaded glass and beveled, it can create a portal and stuff come in and out of there. So I have to be careful that the doors are shut.
You know, that makes sense why when I go to like haunted houses or haunted house attractions, when they have the room of mirrors, I feel so uneasy in there. It's like I'm like I don't want to go in. If I can, I will go around. I will not go through.
Well, we did have an issue at one place I contract at, and the esthetician didn't know, and she had 3 different mirrors all facing each other, and there was an archon down in the basement, and it scared the crap out of this lady that I contract for, and she said it had this horrible metal sound when it would move, and it was like liquid black metal, and it was walking towards her husband, and it was mocking her, saying, "He can't see me, but you can." And yeah, they had to work on closing that portal and educating the esthetician that she can't have 3 mirrors all facing each other because she was bringing archons through and jinn and all kinds of crazy stuff was popping up in the basement of the business.
You just seem to have an attraction to the gin and everything.
Well, they don't like what I do, so because I help people and they parasite off of people.
Right. No, I totally understand that. And let's see.
Okay, this was on my birthday in 2019, and I was driving by Brandywine Creek State Park, and that was up north in the county. And I used to hear other police officers that worked up there talk about how they would see UFOs. And I'd never seen a UFO while I was working, but it was real busy in my district. So while I was driving there, because I was leaving one of my chiropractor jobs, I just stuck my phone out the window and I said, "Star Family, can you show me yourselves for my birthday?" And I was like, click, click, click. And this was the one picture where you can see the Vimana up to the left, and to the right, a little bit lower. There's three more of the same shaped ships, and there's also a drone shaped thing that's cloud cloaked also. And I think they kind of, I mean, I think they look like honeycombs or Devo hats.
Those Devo hats,
Yeah,
that's funny.
we are Devo.
Oh, I can zoom in. I didn't realize I could zoom in.
Yeah, well, see, there's two darker ones to the right, and there's
Right.
a lighter one. There's three of those honeycomb shaped ships, and directly above that cluster of three is the drone shaped ship. And I'm kind of wondering if that's,
Oh, right here.
yeah, is that one of our military drones in Cloud Cloak, and they just don't want the civilians to know? Because,
Uh,
like, I've seen some stuff where Sabrina Wallace was talking, and she was talking about how they'll send drones. Well, is that not a drone to do some whatever? Because I sent this picture to John D'Souza back in 2019, and his wife Bella monitors his DMs, and she showed it to him, and he said that these were Anunnaki ships. But I also wonder if they're not the Vimanas, and I thought blue people flying the Vimanas because my angels, um, if when I'm under spiritual warfare and I can't fix something, I will call my angels. There's this Catholic programming, and I don't use these to help other people, but that's my star team that will come in, and they're blue, and they're usually androgynous. I think they're Arcturian and Syrian and Andromedan, because I've seen two men, and I've actually seen a blue lady come and help me one time, because I was doing some distance healing on somebody who had cancer, and she kept distracting me after I was done the session, so I didn't cut the cords, and she sent one of those black blue squids on on the tether, and it went right into my uterus, and my partner at the time could feel it. He had his hands on my abdomen, and he was trying to blast it with his energy. He's not Reiki certified or anything, and he could feel it like trying to hide under each hip bone when he tried to blast it. And being a cradle Catholic, I just asked for Saint Michael and my blue people come. It's never a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Pleiadian-looking guy. It's blue
yeah.
my blue angels. And one of my cancer clients I had that was mobile massage, the day he told me that he had cancer, and he was like, "Well, Susan, why didn't you see it?" And I said, "Well, you already knew before you hired me, so why are my guides going to tell me?" And he was like, "Good point."
Yeah.
I said, they've told me other things to tell you, but he was like, "Okay." And that was one of the last times I worked on him. He had been a cranialsacral therapy teacher out in Colorado, and I guess I worked on him for a year, because I think he was 83 when I first started working on him, and I think he was 85 when he passed. But that day he told me he had cancer. I would go out in the vestibule after I set up my table so he could get on and get under the sheets, and then he would just yell for me. So I would come back in his little apartment, and that day I was out there praying, because he told me, "I know, you can heal me, but I don't want to be healed. I want to I want to pass and be with my late wife." And I was like, "Okay, well then I'll just pray for you to have the least painful passing." So that's what I was out there going, "Angels, please don't heal him. He wants to pass and be with his late wife, but please let him pass in the most pain-free and comfortable way." And while I was out there praying, because it seemed like it took me forever to get on the table that day, he said he was really struggling. It seemed usually he would get on there within 5 minutes, but it seemed like I was waiting out there for 15 minutes. And when he called me and I came in, he said, Susan, he says, these two blue angels, they saw me struggling. They had blue Superman suits on. They didn't want me to see them, and they pushed me up on the table and they took off. And I knew those were my angels, and that was just a confirmation. So that's always cool to get those confirmations.
That is beautiful. And I have to confess, I've been looking at this image now that I zoomed it up.
Yeah.
And what you thought was a drone, I think it's a cloaked fighter jet.
It might be.
Because if you can see my cursor, here's the tail. And then it comes over here. Here's the wingtip, kind of behind your bell, so to speak. And here's the front. And then here in the cockpit is one body, two bodies. And then it comes down a little bit of the wingtip. And then it comes back up, and there's the engine of the ship.
I got to go put these in contrast and just pull them up on my desktop and add some contrast and see what pops out of the clouds.
But
we might get the whole, might see a lot more than, cloud.
Like right where can you see where my cursor is?
Yeah.
Doesn't that look like a dome and like two bodies right there sticking out over like the edge of the plane, like we would see our fighter pilots being shoulder above?
It could be, because I remember having dragon ships that were like that I could, yeah. They were a little bit bigger than our fighter jets, because I could actually carry. There was two bench seats in it, like I could carry on either side of the ship, like I could carry wounded people in it too.
And this is what I love about photos, because looking at it at this angle, you would not know that that was a plane. It just looks like
it's
the bottom of
but yeah, it's definitely
until you zoom in, yeah, then you see the outline.
And then I've got those other ones they would give me voice to skull, and I remember them saying, because they would say 3 repetitive sentences over and over, and I know my higher self and my guides, none of them are white guys from California with California accents. And yeah, I thought my ships looked like more like that. Yeah. That was the closest thing I could find.
Yeah, I was just showing this to share. This is what we were talking about when we said bell. This was considered like the Nazi bell craft.
Well, that's a Vimana. Those are the ships that flying around in India with the blue people in them. But it also looks really steampunk and Victorian, doesn't it?
I know, with these look like vents on the top and the fans on the side. Propellers.
Yeah.
And here, I'll give you a moment to
that's my
yourself.
I have my crystals in there, and I have all my herbal concoctions. I make all kinds of herbal remedies. I have Anna's wild jam cream. I have all kinds of topicals for different things and different tinctures. I'm going to start doing mushroom tinctures. I've got some going now. A reishi and something else. Oh, I have another mushroom blend with lion's mane, what is it, turkey tail, and cordyceps. Dude, that should be pretty good.
Sounds incredible.
And that's over 95 southbound in Delaware, before the Newark exit and north of Denver Air Force Base. I would see a lot of stuff, and I would actually feel it. Like, I would literally feel like a moon, from the anti-grav, and I'd look up and I'm like, oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we can zoom in and see. That does look like what we were talking about, the navy
Yeah, it kind of looks like a William Tompkins ship, and why wouldn't it be there? You got the Air Force Base is like half an hour from right there, and that does like William Tompkins stuff all look like naval airships. Like they just put the Navy ships in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, and that snail shell, because there's a triangle and then there's the snail shape ship. That snail shell. I used to watch the ISS feed when this one lady was showing me how to see the cloud cloak ships. And when I would watch the ISS feed, these shell shaped ships would would pull up over top electrical storms over planet Earth. And I think they recharge over those storms because they would all collect. And as soon as they would do that, ISS would cut the feed. And I don't know who's in those ships. I would like to know. Do you know?
No, to be honest, not. But I am noticing, because I've seen this in the dark, but I've never really seen it in the light, that there are little, like, faint white lines, like, connecting this cloud with this cloud. So I think it's like you're saying, they're getting energy out of this to power this. There's
Well,
like little.
no, the snail shell was the is a ship, and those snail shell shaped ships would just park over top of electrical storms on Earth. That's what I would. Yeah, this one. That's a ship. And,
Right, but I'm meaning some ships can transfer energy to help another ship.
oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's
And
possible
so,
too.
yeah,
But
because
I
it's
think
underneath this as well. You can see little lines periodically coming off of towards the ground.
hmm,
Let me see if I can zoom in. See, like, here's one, there's one, there's another one. I'm hoping you all can see this, because if not, I'm going to feel awfully silly saying there's all these lines and everyone's like, nope, don't see it. But yeah, those are really cool. And let me zoom in on this one real quick. We didn't zoom in to see this one. Wait, is that a part of the ship out in the front, or is that just a light flare?
um I don't might be a light flare. I don't know, but it looks to me like there's a triangle in there because I was feeling it. But it was like the ships kept showing up for me so I could take pictures of them on purpose. And then I kind of got bored with it because I was seeing so many of them, and like I even have TikTok videos of light ships off my back deck in Iowa.
You're
It's
the
like,
second person I know that's got that ability, and I think that is so cool.
and my friend Priscilla,
That's the other one I know, Priscilla.
she's they follow her around because I felt like they were following me around for a while. So yeah, go in there and magnify this one where the blue fairy is because there's multiple fairies in there. If you can bring that up, yeah. See how there's at least five of them in there. One, two, three,
There's
four.
one, two, three, four, five, six, maybe seven, and then this large one that would be eight. So you could say at least eight.
But I made that garden for butterflies, hummingbirds, and the fairies. So that's cool. The fairies are in there too. I go throw some crystals out there for them because they like shiny things.
You know what might help them too that they might like, and I know this is gonna sound strange, but we do it with our garden, and I was not a believer in it, but believe me, it actually works. Is taking a piece of wood and wrapping copper, like, wire, not the really thin wire, but the thicker type wiring, It's not really wire. I'm trying to think what they call it, but you wrap it around it and you stick that in the ground. And we have pansies that we planted last winter, and they're still thriving.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to be long out of season. And we had lettuce plants and tomato plants that were like 2 or 3 times bigger than what they said they should be and what they should grow into. So I don't know I don't know if the fairies would like that kind of intense energy addition. It's just a thought.
I mean, I have wire wrapped some jewelries, and I do have some copper that I could do that. Does the wood matter? Like what kind of wood you use?
I don't think so. Just as well, I think it needs to be natural wood, not synthetic. Oops, I'm clicking a word, thinking I'm clicking the arrow. And actually, this one looks like an angel. I know you say it's the ship's taking off, but that looks like an angel.
That's the dust off pattern. If you show the picture before that one,
Which one is that? This one?
there it is right there, and then go see the triangle and the little tail at the bottom of the triangle. If you go to the next picture, which is literally taken like a second after, not even a second after, you can see that there's a hole, like the shit blinked out of this dimension, and it's above. Well, this is the wrong picture for it. That circle. You got to go to the next one. Well, that was the first picture because I kept hearing, take the vodka out of the freezer, drink it, and yeah, this is it. See where it dusted off the first triangle, and there's another triangle that's bigger underneath, but it's in like the divine feminine where it's wider at the top. And you can, if you zoom in, you can see the triangle ship with mirroring on it because that one's gone. It's blinked out of this dimension. But if you go to underneath, go right below that. Can you see the edges where the triangles cut into the clouds? You can literally see it. See the edge of the triangle there? You got your cursor on it. And there's clouds spilling over the edges. Look to the left and you can see where it cuts right through the clouds. See there? That's not normal.
No.
Go down a little bit more, because you're not at the edge. And over to the right. See that line there? That's the line, that's the triangle. Do you see the triangle now?
I do.
Yeah, I didn't see that at first. I was like, dang.
It looks like there's two, because it looks like there's another.
There's 2 ships. They would send one for each of us to hit us with voice to skull. And it would just say, the guy would say the same 3 sentences over and over. To me, anyway. Yeah. And it became a joke because I was like, guess what the voice to skull is saying today? It's saying, take the vodka out of the freezer, drink it, and start a fight with you about your ex-wife. Okay. Because it was like we every Thursday they would do that too. So it's like we were on a schedule for a while.
I don't know if you saw this, but you have a face right here.
No, I didn't see that. I was just mad that they were hitting me with energy weapons because it'd make my head hurt really bad and other parts of my body.
Yeah, there would be the ears. There's one eye. The chin. There's the other eye.
Kind of looks like a dragon.
It does. And when you look at it from here, it's like you could say there's the dragon's body in flight. And looks like it's looking at the triangles trying to figure out what they're doing.
But once you learn how to see them, it's pretty easy to see them.
What is? Oh, whoa. What is this?
Oh,
That's not a dragon, but there's a mouth.
there's a person's face
Another
there.
2 eyes. And yeah, that's an alien face. And it looks like there's another face over here. That one looks like a Shakespearean mask where it looks like a bad guy.
It does.
Wow. So, which photo do you want to go to next?
I don't know. I was
Uh,
Yeah, that was the beginning of it, where you can see the triangles, the top triangle's still there, and that's when I was getting a voice to skull. So I would go out and just start looking for the triangles in the clouds, because I know they're out there hitting me.
it's funny, we're talking about triangles, and here looks like the religious symbol of the devil almost is what it looks like, or a demon with its mouth open, horn.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if you could see spells in the clouds, because I think a lot of this stuff they're sending is black magic too.
I can't zoom in, but I can't alter it, but it kind of looks like here's another dragon for you. Which would make sense if someone's sending something for you that the dragons would come to protect. Let's see.
But I have noticed, like, when you're getting that, if they hit you with stuff and you're too debilitated to hit back, go into the basement and hold on to a water pipe, and it'll ground you so they're not hurting you.
Really?
Yeah, that's worked for me.
What if you don't have a basement?
Um, Probably any water pipe would do. Because I just want to go to one lowest in the house, because then it's going down into the earth.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was looking at the photos and I couldn't see this time. We're actually like 8 minutes over. Are you still okay to go a little bit longer, or do you have somewhere to be?
I do, but I need to take a bathroom break because I drank too much coffee.
But I mean, we can end it here if you like, and we can always continue with another episode.
We can do that too.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on and trusting me to be on this show and be a part of this series.
Thank you for having me.
And I do look forward to having you back on. And I have to say, for my perspective and everything, is and looking in those photos, that is new for me to be able to pick out and see what I was picking up and seeing in those photos. I don't normally see the Matrix scene and all of that. So that was really cool to see that. So thank you for sharing those with me.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's anything I can do to help so people don't think they're losing their minds and going suicidal. I've been to too many suicides and too many suicide complaints in my life. There's way more than you think in the Matrix. So, yeah.
So real quick before we go, where can people find you?
Um, I have a Phoenix page on Facebook. Um, I have a a Jean Grey Phoenix page on IG and a First Wave Indigo Soul Star. That's my more of my divine boutique Etsy stuff on there, and you'll see a lot of my herbal stuff. And if you go way back, there's some stuff on there in my First Wave Indigo Soul Star IG where I have videos from Iseti, and you can see some of the clouds during the daytime are flashing at me because they're not clouds, they're ships. And that's on my TikTok. What's my TikTok?
And I'm pretty sure everything is linked in the description. So if I'm missing any links, if you share them, I can add them.
Okay. Because I do have some ship videos. I have the light ships. I think they're lyran ships off my back deck because they look like the ones that came off of Mount Adams at Iseti. And they're there somewhere in my TikTok.
Okay. And thank you for sharing those. And yeah, I'll definitely check that out and see about seeing those. And what is a golden nugget you would like to leave people with from your life experience?
I never know what I'm going to see from one day to the next. It's just a learning journey. Ooh, and I'll do a shameless plug for my first conference that I'm presenting at. I'll be at St. Pete's at the Serrata Hotel for the Full Disclosure Movement.org. It's going to be starseeds, light workers, UFO, cryptid stuff, SSP, and I had to do like a 2-hour presentation, and then I'm going to be venting my cranialsacral fascial therapy and my energy healing there, and I'll have some of my herbal products.
Hey, no problem plugging that. Plug that away.
It should be fun. I haven't been to Florida in years, so. And then like Miles Johnson is going to be there, Carrie Cassidy, and I've never met either of them, so that should be pretty cool. I would like to see them speak in person.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of great people there.
And a lot of people that I haven't met yet that I've talked to.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. And hopefully, if it doesn't work out this year, I can go to next year's.
I think they'll have one next year, too.
I hope so. I got my fingers crossed and toes and everything else, wings. No, but real quick, you know how we were talking about wings and some, like you were seeing the Dracos and didn't have wings? When I was growing up, I would feel my shoulder blades on the back, and they feel like they come to a point, and I'd always say, where are my wings? I feel like I should have wings back there.
You're not the only one. I feel like somebody cut my wings off.
No, I'm glad I'm not the only one, but yeah, and so thank you, and yes, we'll definitely have you back on when our schedules connect. Have a blast at the conference, and if I end up being able to go, I will see you there, and if not, I will see you at the next one for sure.
Okay.
All right, well, good night, everyone, and make it a blessed, loving day, and fill it with love. Okay, and we're go.